There's a chance we have to make a slightly reworked build specifically for Void Erosion. Oh man, please don't lag. Oh boy. Oh my god, she just one-taps them. That's crazy. Oh yeah, we're chilling. Oh my god. Wait, this character is insane. Stop lagging. I cheated out of that. Okay, Harris might be S tier for Void Erosion. Holy shit. Yo guys, what is up? Max on our first Descendant video, and today we're going to be going over my guide to the new Descendant Harris. We're going to be going over everything you need to know about her, how to acquire her, what her skills do, and the best ways to build her. Hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. Let's get right into it. So let's start by talking about her abilities. Harris's first ability is called Crushing Charge. It's a clash stacking skill. You can have this thing basically up infinitely. It's a short range attack that does quite a bit of damage, and its damage does more on its third strike. So if you use it 3 times in a row, you're going to get an additional damage increase. Now, what's really cool about this skill is it tows enemies. So anytime you're hitting enemies with this, it'll group them up, which is perfect for some of her other synergies. Her second ability, Sight Intrusion, not only does a bunch of damage, but it also restores a bunch of toxic, which we'll talk about in a second. But one of the biggest things that this does is it gives you a protective barrier. Now, this protective barrier will scale off of your HP, and if you have a decent amount of HP, which we will have on our Harris build, you basically become unkillable with low cooldown. You could just always have a barrier up. That alongside all of her other HP increases, defenses that she gets, and others, makes her really, really genuinely hard to die. Her third ability is Designated Danger Zone. Now, this differs from the first two abilities, and this is her first ability that consumes her custom resource called Toxin. The 1 and 2 both build up Toxin. The third one will drain your Toxin use, and your fourth ability, Waste Disposal, will also drain or use some of your Toxin. Now, this skill is fantastic, and it's what we're going to be mainly building around on her build. I tried building entirely around her 1, and I tried building entirely around her 4. Those felt like the 2 most impactful abilities, and I've found the 4 build to be a little bit better, in my opinion. But this 4 will proc these cutting lasers that do 6k damage, but they can hit targets multiple times. So you're getting 20 million plus easily on most times that you're using this ability, and we can have it basically infinitely up on this setup. It also has some synergies with melee weapons. You're going to get additional skill power with your melee weapons when you're using this after you hit an enemy with it. You also get additional skill damage against the Colossuses, and you get massive defense increases whenever using this at a max stacks of 200% increased defenses. With not really much trying, I was able to hit 500k defense on Harris. You could get it even higher. There's not really any reason to, but yeah, she gets also a ton of defense. And then the last thing to understand is her toxic stabilization. This is the different tiers of her toxic. You'll see on her passive bar that she's got 3 little notches there, and depending on where her custom resources is where you'll get different bonuses. So if you're at low toxic, you get extra cooldown, duration, and damage reduction. So when you're starting out. If you're in the middle, you get 60% increased HP, 80% increased defense, and more damage reduction. And then your best condition, Toxin Overload, gives you melee weapon attack increase of 30%, skill power increase of 30%, and damage reduction. Now, as long as you maintain these states for at least 0.5 seconds, they will last for 8 seconds. So it is possible to have all of these states up at a time, providing you with just a massive amount of extra bonuses for your character. All right, now to go over her builds, we're going to be starting off with her mobbing build. Now, personally, I don't go for a Transcendent module. She's got 2 Transcendent modules. The Focused Supervision, which changes If you put this on your first ability, you're no longer punching. You get a laser that inflicts damage on enemies. And then your fourth ability, instead of being a single press, is more of a channeled ability. And I found this like pretty decent for single target damage, but for mobbing, it just felt significantly worse. So I personally wouldn't recommend rocking this for like most mobbing scenarios. And the other module that she has is called Safety Training. This changes her mainly her third ability, her Designated Safe Zone. Instead of being a constant channeled AoE, is kind of more of a outburst that you have to hit. And this is technically pretty solid because it changes it to tech. However, we're going to be using a fusion build, so there's a downside on that. So if you wanted to go for like a full tech build for like more of her like clash abilities and a little bit more of a support Harris, I think that would be a solid way to go about it. You can get a protective barrier to your teammates with your third ability, which is different. However, for like solo play and even just in a team, I think you just kill faster and better without this module on. So we're not using any Transcendent modules. Then we get to talk about the rest of her build, and we're going to be really focusing in on her fourth ability. This is the ability that I found to be just really, really strong. However, it does have a fair bit of cooldown, and so we're going to want to get a ton of cooldown with it so that we can spam it on enemies as much as possible. So for modules, we're going to be going focus on toxic and focus on fusion. We don't really need like focus on tech. Her only low modifier, all of her abilities hit really hard. Her only really low modifier ability is her third ability with the continuous damage zone only doing 138 modifier. So focus on fusion is nice for that. It's not really going to do anything for her like fourth ability because it's already so high modifier valued, but it does give us that extra cooldown, which is super important for us. We're also going to be rocking double cooldown mods, nimble fingers, and MP conversion for more ability spam. We only need one range mod on her. All of her max ranges are 200%, so just skill expansion and our Arche Tuning board will get us over her like max expandable range, so we're chilling there. Then we're going to be going toxic amplification. Note we're not using fusion amplification for the things that I mentioned before. More fusion modifier really just doesn't do much for us, especially on her like fourth ability, and so we're going to be ignoring that. And then for mods, I go HP. HP is super, super helpful on her. We want to make her as tanky as possible. And then the like oddball outs basically are veteran tactics, spear and shield charge. Now, veteran tactics is awesome because it's going to allow us to spam our fourth ability more often. More spam on this means that you're going to be clearing significantly faster. And then we're going shield charge. Now, this is a new module that reads when landing a clash type skill attack, convert 0.155% of your own defense into a percentage and apply it to skill power for 10 seconds, up to a 30% damage increase. Now, this is a 30% skill power damage increase, which is super great for us because we don't have any non-specific skill power besides spear and shield. So it's big damage for our damage formula, and it's going to apply to all of our abilities, not just our first ability. I originally tested this and thought it was only for her first ability, so I wasn't going to use it. But in retesting, this allows her fourth ability to do more damage, which is fantastic. And we just need a little bit of defense. We actually don't need to go for a full defense mod. I was getting more damage in testing with Spear and Shield with the defense increase plus the extra skill power than going for like a full defense mod. And once again, we're hitting ridiculous amounts of defense, amounts because of our fourth ability, and you're just like, you know, your components already having a bunch of defense on, which we are going to be prioritizing, but we're getting like over 250,000 defense on this build, which is, once again, you're very, very tanky. And then lastly, we get to talk about her trigger module, which is Steel Vanguard. This was recently added, and it basically doubles her damage. It's crazy. This, whenever we use a clash type skill, or so her like 1 or her 2, we get a constant damage around us that's doing a 271 base damage that's multiplied up to 600% based on our max HP plus our max shield. In testing, we are hitting that max HP or that max damage multiplier on our current setup, even though we don't have like, we're only using like 1 HP mod. For example, I tested with like double HP mods and the damage didn't go up. So we're maxing that out right now. And just to show you how like crazy strong that is, we now have a dot tick that is doing over 1 million damage, but that's happening constantly alongside our like other abilities, which is really nice. And then we can have the like second dot. So now we've got 2 dots constantly, you know, doing AoE damage on enemies. It's a huge damage increase and really, really nice. This is the full build if you want to screenshot it. I know I mouse over things a lot, so there it is. To slow down. Now to pair with that, we're going to be using a toxic and fusion skill power boost ratio reactor. I would really recommend looking for a cooldown on this. Toxic skill power is also really nice because it's going to buff all of your abilities. You just want to focus on your like 4th, you could go for fusion here, but I think, you know, all of her abilities hit pretty hard, so I went for toxic. And then for the external components, I like originally was rocking the new hazmat set, which can give you additional toxic skill power damage, and then I rotated to the plague set for the extra tech damage. And then whenever you're acquiring custom resources, you're also getting like 21% or 60% toxic skill power, and those were all really nice. You can definitely rock those sets. They will give you a little bit more survivability. For just the like 4 spam, I went with Bravery, which is going to give us reduced skill cost and a 20% chance to reduce a random skill's cooldown by 1 second each time an enemy is defeated in like heavy mobbing situations. This is going to allow you to just spam your 4th ability all the time, which is once again like doing, you know, 20 million plus a hit when you're hitting enemies. Just to show you what this laser looks like here. Let's turn the invincibility off. And, well, that's already killing things. But the laser just nukes things. It hits so hard. There it's hitting 4 million a hit on these enemies. Let's spawn some more in real quick. Just do a laser. And as you can see, my cooldown right now is very, very nice. Obviously, there's a little bit of RNG with like Bravery and Veteran Tactics proccing, but your damage uptime will go crazy when you're able to spam this. And you do need resource to spam this. So like in between cooldowns, whenever it does go on cooldown, you're going to want to be spamming your 1 and your 2 to build back up your resources and feed into more damage. For her bossing build, and Harris is like decent at bossing. I mean, I wouldn't really bring her into the current Abyss boss, but for like all the other bosses in the ladder, she's pretty solid at, and can crank some Void Erosions as well. But this is the setup that I'd recommend. We do add Fusion Amplification just because there's not many other like damage mods to really add. Up to you if you want to keep the range mod or not. It's not totally necessary, but it is quality of life. And then everything else pretty much stays the same. You could rock a Dangerous Ambush, kind of depends on the length of the fight. Shield Charge is going to have a lot better uptime, but a little bit less max damage. So I think this is a little bit more consistent, but Dangerous Ambush is also great here. For her Arche Tuning board, we're going to be going, picking up some HP, some more skill cost, some range, extra skill power, making sure we grab cooldown. And then I'm currently rocking Toxic Cohesion here for the stacking toxic skill power. This is very nice for mobbing. Doesn't really do much for bossing, but I don't really think Harris is as much of a bossing Descendant so far. And there is a new one that you could grab for her that is looking kind of interesting. Toxic Chain Catalyst. On skill hit, inflict a basically toxic skill resistance reduction. So you can reduce enemies' toxic resistance by 20%. This is quite nice. However, it really depends on like the difficulty of content. For like most mobs, you can kind of one-tap them, where this isn't going to come into play and it's not really needed. However, for things that are going to be staying alive more often, if you're going to run like a Void Erosion Purge, for example, I would go Toxic Chain Catalyst. It just kind of depends on what kind of content you're going after. Both are really good. For our Inversion Reinforcements, we're going to be rocking Focus Boost. There's a few cool options here. I'd recommend going Focus Boost mainly because we don't have much skill cost reduction in the build, and you get to spam your abilities more with a little bit of skill cost. Just nice quality of life. You could go Arche Circulation Tactic as well for the extra cooldown, or Adrenaline Surge for the increased to movement speed. You kind of fly around on her, so movement speed is not all that needed, to be honest. And then we're rocking Shield Regeneration Algorithm, mainly for the bottom line when using Descendant Harris, while Toxin is between 30 to 70%. Grand Toxin Enhancement, that gives us another 9% increased toxic skill power. And then for the last one, I just went for Shield Particle Reconfiguration. Whenever we're hit by an enemy, we grant Shield Particle Reconfiguration, which gives us increased defense and increased max shield pace based on our defense. So we're getting a bunch of extra shield and a bunch of extra defense on our setup. For weapons, you're going to want to rock the Secret Garden most of the time because you can get the Parasite buff on her. The Secret Garden has the ability when you're using tech skills to get pest control, which will give you increasing skill power, which is really nice. So just use your 1 and 2 and you'll get full Secret Garden stacks. So that's fantastic. She also has a lot of synergies with swords, and I think she's going to be really cool with the Hive Master. Unfortunately, do not have either of these weapons nearly close to being fully built. In fact, I don't have most of the sword mods unlocked, so I unfortunately wasn't able to test her ability with swords for this video, but I hopefully will have like a sword guide once I'm caught up. Haven't played the game in quite a while, and so I'm very much behind on like sword stuff. But yeah, guys, that is her setup. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Let me know in the future if you want to see build guides including Ancestor mods, or if you'd prefer to see them left out. Ancestor mods are really powerful. However, they're super RNG. I put a bunch of resources trying to roll my Harris one to something that I wanted, and I just never got it. So I'm not sure if that's something that like should just mention in passing, or if it's something that you want to see build guides including Ancestor mods. Just let me know down below. I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.